Today I will talk a little bit about my work with the concept of making the memorial for to honor the victims of the 22nd of July terror attack in Norway. As most of you know, it started with a bombing in Oslo, where 8 people killed. The same man that detonated the bomb then traveled 24 minutes or 44 minutes to Utøya, where he then murdered 69 people, mostly kids between 14 and 21 years old. They were part of the summer camp of AUF, the Labour Party's youth group that are the ones that are on this island. The reason for the terror act was that he wanted to kill future leaders of Social Democratic or the Labour party. The memorial site is placed on the tip of a peninsula that are reaching out in the water towards Utøya. The memorial site is chosen by the government in Norway. You are taken to the memorial site by a small road, and they will establish a parking space a little bit north of the memorial site, with the idea that you should walk in, or the idea was that you are supposed to walk in, the visitors to the memorial are supposed to walk in on the side of the field, quite straight from the parking lot and the sort of the shortest cut into the memorial site. My concept is formed from 2 emotional observations from the actual site visits to both to Utøya and to the actual memorial site. The concept that takes its starting point from the site visit to Utøya is maybe a more political side of the concept, and the concept that takes its starting point from the site visit to the memorial site is maybe the more private part of it, which more relates to the actual visitors in that sense. We were taken, we were a group of the people that were in the competition, the architecture firms and artists were taken out to Utøya and were taken on a tour by one of the survivors from that day. She took us in the she walked us in the footstep of the killer and took us from place to place where someone have died, and talked about the people who have died and how they have died, and talked about how it was that day at that moment. And one of the first stops we did was that we stopped at the main building where a lot of people got killed. There it was like we walked in, none of us were prepared for the emotions that will appear. We walked in and it was gun holes in the walls, the carpet were bleached from cleaning products, trying to clean away the blood. And it was really hard to breathe in there. Some of us started to cry. And it was a little bit like walking in an open or being in an open wound. It was like it happened yesterday. Then we were taken out on on a route in nature around the island, and stopped at the positions or places where people have died. What I noticed there was that it was suddenly easier to breathe, and even when standing on places where a lot of people lost their lives. So this took me to, or started later on to make me think of, since the memorial site is a site in nature, I started to think about the idea that I should wound nature to the level that it can't heal, so nature can't move on. Then after this visit, we went to the memorial site, and we were taken from out to the actual tip at the memorial site, where you have like a really picture perfect setting, and this shapes my other side of the concept, is that I didn't want to make I decided that I didn't want that gaze to be possible. I wanted to stop that movement which is with you already from when you are in the car, the need of seeing Utöya. And the actual memorial site is making that movement even stronger, since it's on this tip reaching out to the water, and you're supposed to go out to the water, and you're supposed to go all the way out to the tip, and you should stand and look there on the island, which makes the observer or the visitor to the memorial site to become like a passive observer, and it makes Utöya like a monument in itself, and I didn't want to allow that. So the first thing I started with doing to try to change this sequence of movement was that I proposed a different pathway from the parking lot. So you walk in through the forest instead. Then I started with an idea to try to block the gaze out towards the island. From the beginning I had something out in the water, and it didn't feel like it worked out so well, so I started to move that into the actual or onto the peninsula, so it cut off the actual site in itself, so you can't reach the memorial site. I was not so sure about the idea of creating, or I didn't want to create some sort of monument or architecture in itself, or some sort of design. So I started to play with the idea again then, to bring up this idea with the wound that came from the site visit to Utöya, and started to play with the idea of moving down the monument in the ground instead, and at the same time then moving the movement down, so I block the view. And this creates the sort of the shape of the memorial. Here we have the memorial with the parking lot and the pathway through the forest and the cut. The memorial in itself proposes a cut in nature that makes a break in nature, like what happened that day, like a cut in the everyday life. It deals with loss in a way that not in an abstract way, so it's rather than illustrate loss, it makes actual loss. Rather than making an actual distance, or rather than illustrate distance, it makes distance, and it creates an island where you can't reach the tip of the memorial. You're taken there by a pathway through the forest, taken down to the ground, taken to the actual dramatic cut, where you see the names on the other side, and it's a 3.5 meters cut, and you see the names inscripted in the wall on the other side. You can reach, or you can see them, you can read them, but you can't reach them, so they are forever unreachable. I can also mention very briefly that the material which the stone which I take away is used for constructing the memorial sites in Oslo in the governmental quarters. Okay, thank you.
That was brilliant, Jonas, and extremely moving. I'm at a loss for words. I'm trying to see how I would connect this to the topic of the panel as a whole. And I mean, maybe one way is to look at the kind of nationalism that was represented by the killer, who had a particular idea of Norwegian identity, or what it meant to be Norwegian, that excluded a whole range of people, and felt that the Labour Party was accommodating this and was selling out Norway, and he went out and did this act, which I view as very much a political act, whatever else one might be about it. So he had an idea of nationalism. And the response to his idea of nationalism, as I see it in your memorial, is to present a different notion of nationalism, or a different notion of community, which encompasses everybody, where everybody can be a part of. And but what is wonderful about the memorial, and this is a comment and you can respond to it, not a question, at least from my point of view, is that every time you create a community, however open it might be, you are going to exclude something or somebody or someone. That is, it's never completely universal, creating a community. And I think the break, that cut that you made, that changes that perception, also reflects the fact that you cannot create something whole that includes everyone, even if you might want to, in order to create something.
Yeah. No, but that's probably true. The idea with the cut, or from that point of view, is to sort of exclude everybody in that sense, and to turn the gaze inward yourself instead. So we all have experienced loss in some way. We all have experienced the vulnerability of not being able to do something. And so the idea with the cut in that is to sort of exclude the possibility, or and that sort of belief in, or the release of what you're saying, that is possible maybe, and then turn it inside yourself. So and to reflect on these issues, and to keep that dialogue sort of going on for the future.
And thank you very much.